Welcome one and all to Codeweaver Plays Games. Let's just make sure the audio is working correctly here, because that's always fun. Yeah, we seem to be good, and we're just going to switch right on into Metro Exodus. Here we go, and it's going to take a second because too many damn windows and two computers and all sorts of crazy. So, there we go. I think that's actually working okay. All right, so here's the situation. I went mental and decided to upgrade my gaming rig, starting with my graphics card, which then led into I probably need a better monitor, which then led me into I wonder what 4K monitors feel and look like these days. And so the last couple of streams have been all about me experimenting with, I call it graphics tuning. It's not really graphics tuning. It's more like let's experiment with some default settings on various monitors without a lot of fiddling around, except that I'm testing the difference between 1440p and 4K gaming in various configurations. My prior streams have been about taking a 1440k monitor, a Dell S2722 DGM, quite a lovely display. I'm quite liking it. It's a curved game monitor. I'm not so married to the curve thing. It's kind of pretty. I may end up using it as a portrait monitor. I'm not sure. Never mind. That's irrelevant. The point being is I was using it as a game monitor. I still am for the moment. And I was wanting to see what the detail was like when I cranked my graphics card up to try to render at 4K and then display it on my 1440p. The results were kind of interesting. They seemed to show, at least in one scene, that it was worth doing if I could eat the frame rate cost because it produced more detail, which was good. Even on my 1440p, running it at a higher resolution on the graphics card, I guess it generates more detail, so then it has more detail when it's doing the down res. And as long as the down res algorithms are good, it does okay. It does at least as good as 1440p, and in some cases it picks up a bit more detail. So that direction's fine. And of course the other question is, would I take a frame rate hit? And on this game, with my setup, it didn't seem to have that much effect in this game on the frame rate. Now, clearly that's not going to be the case in every game. Rendering at 4K takes a lot of resources, and rendering at 1440p should take less. But it didn't seem to for this game, and that's curious, but at least I got the issue about detail out of the way. Generating it at a higher res produces more detail even on a lower res screen. So there you go. At least in the one photo that I've managed to do a direct comparison. I've got others to do, and I will have a sum it all up video about this before I move on to just playing the game and enjoying the game. What's my goal today? My goal today is to actually play this on a 1440p screen, or no, sorry, a 4K screen. I just picked it up. It's a 32 incher, so it's actually bigger than my 1440p screen. It's not just denser. And yeah, it's not really comparing apples to apples, and that's a fair argument. But I kind of went along the idea that if I wanted a bigger monitor than I'm used to, because the 27 inch is more or less what I've had for a very long time, 32 was the next size up that was sensible, and the 40 plus is just too big for my desk. It's just too nuts. Furthermore, if I'm viewing it at desk distances, like basically a couple of feet away from me, if it gets up into the 40 and upward range, I'm going to start to see the pixels unless it's super dense. So going to a bigger monitor for me means going to 4K for me to be comfortable. Staying at 27 inches and going to 4K, I don't think my eyes are good enough to pick that up, if I'm being honest. I'd rather have, and because 4K monitors tend to get really expensive to get good blacks and lots of good color, I don't know, it was a trade-off. I don't know even what the trade-off is anymore. Anyway, the fact of the matter is I'm working on a bigger screen, both denser pixels, a lot more to render, and I want to see how well it works rendering at native 4K and whether or not that affects the frame rate significantly. Right now it's showing 174 average frame rate. That's not normal. That's just because I'm in this scene. So let's just get on with this because I've been babbling for easily 5 minutes now and I haven't even gotten any playthrough. I'm going to start from the beginning and I'm going to race through to the point at which I have gone through the cult scene in the Volga chapter. By the way, spoilers. Go watch my previous episodes if you don't want spoilers. I'm going to, and if you want to see me react to it for the first time, I'm going to play through until I get back to the train after the cult scene, and I'm going to try to hit all the same beats that I did before, roughly, and to try to capture visuals of what the card... you know what? This may be pointless. I suddenly realized something. If the card is rendering at 4K and down-resing it by a 14:4 screen, then my capture is probably going to be... Will it be in 4K? It'll be... I'm guessing it'll be after the card has already done the down-res. So this may still have a point because I will actually be capturing a 4K image. I'm not sure how I'm going to properly compare the two. That's going to be really tough because the image sizes are going to be different. I suppose what I'll have to do, if I want to compare the two generated image sizes, is to downscale one of them manually, but that seems to defeat the purpose. I'll have to zoom them up to the point at which they're displaying the same screen but with different pixel density. I think I'll have to do that. That's not going to be easy. What I can do, though, and what I will do, is I intend to show what the 4K image looks like, and then show what the 1440p image looks like when scaled up to 4K. I'm going to do the opposite to what I did on the smaller monitor, to see how badly upres compares in two ways. I want to compare it to the 4K image to show you how much better 4K is natively, but I also want to show how I want to compare the upscaled 1440p to 4K image against a native 1440p to show that the upscaling, when it's not an integer multiple of screen scaling, might actually be worse. That is, I might be better sticking with a 1440p monitor if that's the way I intend to game. So I've got a lot on my plate, and it's already 7 minutes in. Let's get on with this. So, to do that, I'm going to go into... I don't want to do a new game. I've already got too many threads on the go here. So I'm going to go into chapters. How am I going to do this? Load, let's just make sure. So I'm in slot 2, which is my sort of backup. No, I didn't want to hit continue.
The locals were none too happy to see us here.
No.
Looks like after the war, they created a veritable technophobic cult here. And its leader managed to trap me in their half-flooded church.
Yeah, I don't want to do this yet. I want to go right through from the beginning. And more to the point, I'm going to decrease the volume. Again, I did full volume for the real playthrough. I'm going to decrease that a little because I'm going to be talking over this quite a bit more this time around.
Seems to be a good time to pay him a visit.
And because I alt-tabbed out, I think it has actually got me stuck. That's not a good sign. Alright. Force quit that. And I'll be right back into it. Yes, thank you. Don't need to be playing this for me. I can tell you my 1440p monitor. Okay, so by the way, the 1440p monitor is the Dell S2722 DGM. The 4K that I'm testing here is the FI32U from Gigabyte. And so again, not really comparing apples to apples, but it's the two monitors I'm testing, it's the two monitors I'm considering. I can definitely tell that the 1440p monitor does have a deeper black and a brighter display out of the box. But I know that the maximum brightness on the 1440p monitor is higher. It just is. And that's the one reason I'm possibly... that coupled with the fact the blackers are black. The blacks are blacker. I think is why I might consider sticking with the 1440p. Like they're both super crisp. They're very nice monitors. I really like the size of the 4K. I just wish I could afford a 4K monitor of this size that really got the blacks deeper. I just think the technology's not there yet. Unless you go so expensive that it's just not even worth considering. So this is part of the cost savings of trying to get a 4K monitor on a budget. And I'm not sure if having the two monitors side by side is always going to depress the heck out of me. They are pretty, though. The big monitor is a lot of fun. I'm not going to lie, the big monitor is a lot of fun. Let's go to... not continue this time. Chapters. We're going to go all the way back to the introduction because we're going to very rapidly play all the way through this. It's going to take most of the evening, even if I rocket through this. Mostly because it's not that I want to do a speed run. It's that I want to not babble a lot about the story or pay attention to a lot of the story, even skipping a lot of the dialogue and lore, but I still want to visit all the places that I visited.
The 7 billion were wiped out by the last war. Only 50,000 managed to survive underground, with the surface poisoned, burned...
Oh, I can't skip this. Alright. Oh. Alright, after new levels out of the previous autosaves will eventually be overwritten. Your quick saves will not be influenced. That's fine.
When it has been years since anyone's heard anything but static and white noise on the radio...
Don't need to test the rendering on cutscenes, and the middle scenes like this, while it's loading, are stuck at about 60 frames a second anyway. None of this matters. What really matters is once we get into the game. So what are we seeing here? We're seeing about 103 frames, 100 frames. This is pretty typical. 80 frames. At the 99th percentile, that means most of the frames are all... Oh, we had a little bit of a drop there. But only in the worst case, right? And most of this seems really buttery smooth. Like, I'm not having any problem with the way this is rendering right now. I don't think I'm as sensitive to needing ultra-high frames. And certainly the occasional one that drops down, as long as it doesn't generally interfere with the rendering, isn't probably... I might not even notice it. That's fine. Now, obviously, I'm not rendering at a super high frame rate for the sake of Twitch. So it's fair to say you guys aren't seeing what I'm seeing here. But all I can tell you is that for my purposes, looking around as I'm sort of swirling my my camera around, I'm getting 133 frames a second, and that's fine. The monitor only goes up to 144 hertz anyway. That's actually one advantage to the 1440p. It does get up to 165 hertz. I wasn't seeing frame rates nearly that high anyway, so no big deal to me. But I guess that's relevant for some games might be able to get that high. 144 is plenty. Yep, F for flashlight. Looking around, seeing what I can find. I do need at least a few resources as I go through the game or I'm going to die. I'm mostly going to be skipping lore, but I will have to pick up some bullets now and again. Okay. Oh, yeah. L to light the web with your lighter. I seem to recall there's some stuff to pick up here. Yeah, this is super smooth for me. Keeping an eye on the Twitch stream, I don't appear to have any lost frames, which is nice. I mean, you wouldn't hopefully expect that with this graphics card, but you never know, because I am trying to be mean to it on purpose. Oh, let's... Okay. Let's... Okay. Popping through here. Freaky thing, freaky motion off in the distance. Brief issue battling the creepy critter who comes out of the woodwork. I did manage to avoid getting accosted by him once when I came through here. I can't remember how I did it. I think I just didn't go into the spider webs. But that's okay. We can battle him. That's not a major crisis. That was less productive. Yeah, more bullets, that's fine. Okay, can we actually get into the back here? It's making me get my med kit again. Man, I hurt myself twice. That's bad. Oh, I see. I can kind of come into the back here, but I can't go past that debris. Oh, if I ever went back in here. Oh, well. Taking a look at my frame rate. My frame rate's holding at a nice 106, 110. I know they're coming, so I'm just going to race up into here. I played through this section enough times to know not to linger in this area because of that. Yes, yes. This is about what I saw when I was running in 4K mode, but rendering to my 1440p monitor. So far, I'm not really all that surprised. In some ways, I wish I didn't have both monitors besides me, because what I'm doing, in front of me I have the main game, and on my immediate left I have the other monitor. And whenever it gets into a scenario, into a scene that has a lot of dark places, like a lot of dark patches, a dark environment, those are deeper on the other monitor. The 4K is big, but it just can't get those blacks. Super responsive, though. If I didn't have the side-by-side comparison, I probably wouldn't know any better. And it's only by the direct comparison that I can see this. Does it make a difference? Not really. I mean, I don't know. Might be a stick in my craw, though. It might mean that what I do is I take the 4K monitor back and just wait for the tech to catch up. For the price point I'm willing to invest in it, obviously. I mean, there are some pretty crazy monitors out there that might be able to rival this one and get deeper blacks and whatever, but I can't afford to spend $2,000 on a single monitor. This one, by the way, very nice monitor. $800 US on Amazon, so close to $1,000 after taxes in probably a few places. That's a lot for me. That's a lot.
The doctor said you'll be fine. Are you trying to
But for a 32-inch monitor with this kind of responsiveness,
burn from the surface?
that's not bad.
There's no one out there, Artyom. No one to find, no one to talk to. If there was, don't you think they'd be here already? We've talked about this again and again. You have to accept it. There's only us.
How many times are we going to have this conversation? I don't care if you kill yourself over this silly dream of yours, but don't you see what you're doing to my daughter? Your wife?
Unfortunately, I can't skip this, or I would be.
Please.
Not because I don't want to hear it, it's because I already heard it several times already, recently.
Your selfish obsession.
I love a game with good lore and fun characters.
There's only Metro, nothing else. And the Order is here to defend it. Because if not us, then who? You look fine to me. So, get ready to go. Then, we'll discuss your transfer to police. Come, we need to talk.
Looking at my GPU utilization, it's in the 77% region, kind of what I expected. Frame rate's still pretty much normal.
I'll see you later.
I should point out, by the way, that I'm using a feature that are becoming common in displays called adaptive sync, generically. Free sync on the Gigabyte side and G-Sync on the... I can't remember who does the G-Sync side. Anyway, doesn't matter. And the NVIDIA side. Point being, that... or is it AMD versus NVIDIA? In any case, the point being, this monitor actually has both. It's G-Sync compatible. It's FreeSync by design, but G-Sync compatible. A lot of monitors are being able to support both. And what that means is that the monitor refreshes only when there's a full frame able to be rendered to the display. So if the frame rate being submitted to it flops up and down a lot, it means there will never be a point at which the monitor is trying to render while the image from which it's rendering is halfway through being produced. And you see that in older monitors / graphics cards when you have the frame rate dip from optimal. One way to combat that is to use VSync, so that you know that when the monitor is not displaying, the game knows when the monitor is not displaying to be able to render the next frame. But that VSync still effectively requires that you run at a fixed rate, and if you miss the timing on getting a frame to it, you'll simply drop the frame. Adaptive sync works differently. It won't drop the frame. It doesn't drop any frames. It renders every one that is presented to it in the order in which it's presented, which means that your frame rate can fluctuate up and down, but you'll still never ever get scenes rendered to the monitor that are half one frame and half another. You don't get what's called tearing. And I have adaptive sync on, and it's beautiful because I get absolutely no tearing at all, regardless of what my frame rate's doing, and regardless of whether or not I can capitalize on an absolutely maxed out frame rate all the time. Okay, lots of lore in the main game, but I'm going to bypass all of it because I want to get to the next scene.
I can't believe my eyes. Artyom, you alright? You gave us a scare, brother. Artyom, how are you, friend? I see you're alright. This calls for a celebration.
A few more scars and you'll be completely irresistible to any woman. Speaking of which,
Alёsh,
how are the
you know
nurses
you
in
just
Moscow,
said,
huh?
guys. Could you just stop crowding him? Well, then I got you. Привет, Artyom.
Alright, you're all dismissed. I give you 2 hours, people.
Oh, it's official. I knew it. So I brought something.
And here we go again.
Please, let's not repeat the last time.
Hold on, Artyom. And? More of nothing? Artyom, the only thing I can hear is that Geiger counter ticking.
Yep, that's fine. We've been through this a million times. So this is one of the scenes where I did get some starting to get more complicated outdoor scenes.
Also those damn things. Calling all the time.
I have to say,
Let's go home, dear, please.
seeing it at 4K resolution but also on a larger monitor, that's pretty awesome.
Love to live on an ocean beach or in a green forest, but what good are the
I am noticing some color differences between the two monitors. That in and of itself isn't surprising, and I don't have the equipment to do a color calibration on the two of them. But
Place your filter. Haven't you spent enough time in the sick bay?
the 4K display's color is quite lovely.
Right, let's get moving.
I mean, they're both beautiful.
Kill me if you find
Alright,
out I went
yeah.
with you. Twice if you learned we've been to a Hansa off-limit zone. Have you been to all these rooms?
Okay, coming back out here for a moment. This is where the frame rate starts to dip a little bit, and I'm just taking a look around. Again, no tearing because of the adaptive sync. I may not be able to give up the 4K monitor, even though I can tell that the blacks aren't quite as black as I'd like.
Had to scare a demon away. It was getting too comfortable here.
I'm gonna have to be quick because I wonder if I can find another filter in here, because I accidentally used a couple of filters I probably shouldn't have right there. Down, down. Oh, I like the big display.
Look, maybe you should come back to the order. We'll move to Polis. Dad says he'll arrange a flat for us. Because if not us, then who?
Not us, then who?
Let's go in turns here. It's not stable enough.
Yeah, I'm not noticing. I would have to have a really long averaged render. Oh god. Yeah, here we go. And I'm gonna die. Boy, I think that's the first time I've died in that scene. The rendering rate is hopping around so much that it's a little hard for me to get a really good judgment. I'm more looking for really gross differences. Like if I went from, if I found a section with sustained 50 frames per second, that has not happened in any of my tests so far. If I found in some of the heavier areas I had a sustained much higher rate for whatever reason, say 120 where I should be getting 80. That would be interesting too. So I'm really looking for gross differences, not so much sort of intermittent stuff. Like getting 90 frames a second in here is not really that freaky. No, they didn't get me. I was less of an idiot that time.
Probably heard us coming down the roof and decided to ambush us. Maybe start getting smarter.
Unfortunately, when I first recorded this section of the map, I didn't actually play on my 1440p monitor with the frame rate stuff on. So there's that. Okay, let's turn the flashlight on because that's less dumb. Yes, get ahead of me.
Do that? It's a pack. Just what we need. After all, we're lucky the mutants hate each other as much as they hate us. I really don't trust why the hell is that.
Okay, I'm just gonna hunker down here because it doesn't look like we actually have to. Yeah, we did. Let's get a move on because I'm going to run out of filters before we get out of this level. No, I don't want to activate photo mode. Thank you. $103 frames. 90 frames. I'm doing fine. No, I probably can't do a sustained 120 frames throughout all of this. Not with with this game. With my graphics card. Because I only have one. I'm not operating an SLI mode or anything. Running a 3080 Ti, by the way. That was one of my gifts to myself. That's what started this all off. Let's upgrade my rig, I said. It should be not a big deal, I said. And then I tested it on my old monitor. Decided to try 1440p, and then my old monitor ate itself. It was a lovely old 60 hertz, 24-inch monitor. Actually, with its bezel, ironically enough, about as big as my my 1440p monitor physically. And it could do 1080p. Quickly find one or leave the hazard zone. Well, we're going to book it. That's what I was worried about. Anyway, monitor ate itself. So I treated myself to a graphics card and had to buy a new monitor anyway for my trouble. I was probably going to get the monitor anyway, but then I would have had two. Now I do have two, and a hole in my budget bigger than a skyscraper, which is a lot of fun.
You should have checked first, assholes. Artyom, thank God. These people, they're Hansa, not the Order. Assholes. They did a number on you. Well, Dad will rip them a new one for that.
What's going on in this Moscow of yours anyways?
Of yours. You're putting this like you're not from here.
We aren't. Our village is about 200 kilometers from here.
What village?
Okay, so
Just a regular
pretty sure that at
the boys saw a pretty threat from Moscow about a year ago. They were came back. But then we got caught by these here.
You mean there's life outside?
Why wouldn't there be any? Sure, there are lots of plants.
it's either at this section or maybe by the time that we are
Artyom, you were right. People really do live out there.
in the next section where we're captured. I can't remember where the chapter boundary is, where I started doing my recording with the frame rate information.
Know about this. Hey, you people drove us halfway to nowhere. At least give them their masks back.
Man, rough place. Right, ducking under here. Do the med kit thing. I don't know if I ever picked up that note, but now I have. and tuck into the tunnel. Up, grab the ladder.
Attention! The turntable is switching on.
Come and find Yermak. And we are rapidly approaching one of the places where I captured my comparison image. Yeah, let me up. Hey, buddy. Yes, we may sneak in from the back. Come on. Let's make sure that I've grabbed what I can here, because I may need some bullets, although I get quite a bit of it in here. Alright. Book it over here. Throw the switch. Alright. So here's where we're going to have to take a, quote, pause. Actually, I'm going to save the game back here. I wonder if I can. No, I can't save here. That's disappointing. Okay. So here's what we're going to do. Now, this is not going to give me any indication as to what the monitor is doing in terms of display. But this will enable me to compare 1440k versus 4K versus 1440p upscaled to 4K, and then also both of those compared to the detail that I actually see in 1440p natively rendered, but that's going to require some clever scaling. So this is just for me to capture the data. Now, the way I did this was I found that particular wedge of paper there. I got myself situated so if I'm looking down, the point is roughly in the center of my screen. Then I was looking up, and I was getting the second pillar, the second post on the left there, just touching this, and the bottom a little bit higher. Okay, I think that's the scene I want to capture. Oh, really, it's going to be really hard to give up the larger screen. I'm not going to lie. This is really lovely. All right, so you guys can't see what I'm up to, but I'm in the background trying to pull up the original displays that I had in order to try to make sure that I'm capturing the right thing. Yeah, I'm close, but no cigar. I'm just a little bit off. And I want to try to match up the images that I capture almost exactly. So in order to do that, I have to, it's about like that. And more to the point, I want to capture it when the flash happens. So I'm gonna have to time it. See if either one of those two that I just captured actually fit the bill. That'll be under. I apologize for this delay, just bear with me here. Yep, that one actually captured quite nicely. One of them did. The other one did not. So I've got one that was a good capture with the flashing of the bloom, as it were, of that background light. I'm gonna capture one more just for safety's sake. Just make sure I'm again roughly in the right position. Alright, I think I missed on 3 of those, but I finally got a 4th. Captured 4 of them. Yeah, that one's pretty good. That one's pretty good. So I got 2, and I can pick and choose which one I want to stick with. So that's nice. Quickly popping myself back into the game. I can now move on and actually play the rest of this and get up to the train section. It's already 9, so I'm gonna have to actually do this in 2 episodes, I think. I'm burning a lot of streaming time sort of capturing this data. Yes, I can do it quietly. Okay, found a decoy, press G to throw. Wow. That has happened to me before. No, I think I actually hit him. Jeez. Let's give this another go.
Wait. He's looking this way, and we need to get to that door. Right. Now throw it. I hope the noise distracts him. This is trouble.
God, I keep sucking at this. That time it bounced off of something. I'm having a moment.
Wait a moment. Wait. Right. Now throw it. I hope the noise distracts him. This is trouble.
Why am I not able to, Now this is starting to become weird.
Wait a moment. Wait. Right. Now throw it. I hope the noise distracts him. This is trouble.
What in the name of all that is holy is going on? I had almost no failures last like 3 playthroughs of this section that I've done, at least 3.
Right. Now throw it. I hope the noise distracts him. This is trouble.
All right, I'll bite. Anybody have the slightest idea what I'm doing wrong?
Wait a moment. Wait. Right. Now throw it. I hope the noise distracts him.
I could just be being really, really dumb here.
Wait a moment. Wait. Right. Now throw it. Well done.
There we go. I guess I kind of had to hit something close enough for him to look. Like near him. Not so far away that it was just silent, because then he just turns around and looks at me again. That was super weird.
Oh my god! You're alive! Alive! Are you hurt? Hunter's badge? It stopped the bullet!
Yes, yes. Been through this revelation several times. It's a very cute twist, but
What is this equipment? What?
and I'm smart like a sack of hammers, because if I had any brains whatsoever, I would have captured the 1440p upscale version of the photo while I was back in that region. And now I probably can't get back to it. Almost certainly can't. Which means I'm going to have to play through this again. Well, at least up to that point. I'll make sure that I capture both when I get to the train section. All right.
Is this yours?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you.
We must get out before they recover. Guards,
Yeah, about 120 frames a second, I think, is pretty normal for here. Dropping to 92 a little bit, yeah.
here, quick.
I'm definitely going to have to check the footage of my last few videos on this topic.
Why are you helping us, Andrei Ivanovich?
I guess I'll tell you later. I hope. Be careful.
All right, let's do the thing.
Artyom, I see the enemy. Give me a boost.
Go on, get up there.
With the snowstorm. Don't forget your visibility gauge, Artyom.
If you don't move too fast and don't come out into the light, you'll be harder for them to notice.
All right, let's get on with this.
Flashlight on either, they could notice. Artyom, incoming again. I'll give you some cover from above.
Oh, I'm just going to sneak around the corner anyway. I can tuck in here until one of these guys wanders. Come out, sneak in behind him. Get some reparables.
Attention! The command center came under enemy attack. The attackers are assumed to still be on the base territory.
Artyom, I'm changing position.
All unauthorized persons are to be fired upon immediately. Civilian personnel movement is prohibited until further notice. Attention! The jamming system is coming back online.
Come on. Gotcha. That was bad. This is how I prefer to play my games. Stealthy and...
Well done, you're almost at the hangar. Smooth sailing from here.
And let's tuck ourselves behind here and not deal with him. Yeah, that's fine. Great. Right. Mask off. Quickly grab all the things that are super relevant here. Some ammo. The engine. Turn off the light. Wait for these guys to finish their chat. Right. Take you out. Take you out. Take you out.
Group C, redeploy to the wind turbine zone.
Aha, you can sneak ahead. No need to play heroes for a change. Let's wait till the lock off.
I repeat, Group D redeploy to the wind turbine zone immediately. Group B is under heavy attack from Watchmen. Just stay put for now.
All clear.
Don't really want to trigger that.
Am I glad to see you here?
Come on. Come on, you're back. Let's get going.
I'm fine, thank you. All right, we don't have much time. We'll be back. I'll go to the engine. It should be ready now.
Yeah.
You go up there and switch the turntable mechanism on.
Yeah, totally doing that. Right. Right. That was not elegant, but I'm not in this for the elegance right this minute.
Turn the turntable on.
I'm here to collect as much of this stuff as I can.
Turn the turntable on.
And yeah, so I've maxed out on bullets because that was relatively easy to do there. I should check to see if there's anything in here that I can pick up though. Med kits wouldn't be terrible. Alright, turn the turntable on. Everything else is fine. Tuck myself in the corner. Wait for the next stage. Some massive explosions coming. There we go.
That was intense. Are you okay? Artyom.
Yep. Let's follow through.
More guards. Get them.
Yep. Let's do this together.
Just a little. Yes. Come on. Yes.
You're going to ram the gate! You should put the mask on. The seals might be damaged.
We did it. Yeah. Dad! Guys! It's us! Help us!
What are you doing here? Talk about surprise. This will mean court-martial for all of you.
All right, everyone, shut up! I can't believe this. Just copy. Shit!
So this is true? You are working for them? The bastards shot Artyom!
Quiet!
They...
How did you end up here? Ah, it doesn't matter. You have no idea what you just stuck your heads in. With no moves left. Hansa can't take this lying down. No one just shut up.
No, I won't be quiet! What is this jammer for? Why are they hiding the fact that Moscow didn't survive alone? There, in the ravine, there are people from other cities dead! All of them! Women, children!
I'll tell you all later. Everything. Gramps, what's going on out there? Down this road. The road is fine. At least until 100 click mark. Is there a safe place to stop nearby? Of course. We have to make haste though. They got the cruiser. All right, gentlemen. Artyom and Anna have just made a huge mess. And I can't go back to Moscow now. The wartime legislation dictates they be killed. In any case, I have to get them out of town until it all blows over. But you all should stay. Hear me, Major? My people are in no way related to this misunderstanding.
It's not my
at the
call,
German.
and you know it. Well, I'll fight for the guys no matter what. Of course. Artyom, Anna, they are with us.
Leaves no one behind. All right, Spartans. Throw these overboard and full steam ahead.
Come with me, Artyom. Let's catch them there. I'm so glad the boys supported us. It looks like my father didn't say a word to them about this either.
Very little control over what I can do in this section, so that's why I've been a little bit silent.
Was burnt to a crisp in the war. But they just circled Moscow with those jammers, and we were none the wiser. How perfect of them!
comply, we will shoot the kill. Happy now? Is this what you were hoping for?
How is this his fault? You knew everything and never said shit.
Stop the engine immediately.
It's interesting to note. I've learned something new. It's interesting to note that my monitor considers itself to be running at 87 hertz right now, not at the 144 that it's capable of. Now, the game can set whatever sort of specs it wants to set. It can set. I mean, the game can state the resolution, and it can state the refresh rate that it wants to achieve. What's super interesting to me is that the monitor is capable of going up to high resolutions, but the game hasn't requested it, because otherwise the monitor should be able to report doing 144 hertz. And what that says to me is that the fastest it's typically going to render is a little under 90 hertz, which is more or less what I've been seeing in almost all of the situations. I mean, sometimes it's dropped as low as 70 every now and again. But it's generally held pretty close, and I guess I've seen a 50 and a 60 once or twice in some really hard to render areas. So to be fair, I'm probably not capable of driving 4K quite that hard. But the reason why I haven't been seeing really high render rates universally maybe is because the game simply isn't requesting it. 77, 80, 83, 81, 75. So I'm not quite hitting that refresh rate that I want. But of course, adaptive sync is saving it from doing any tearing. That's kind of interesting, though. That's fine. I only found that out by actually poking in the stats screen that the monitor itself has part of its on-screen display, which none of you can see, but I found that super interesting. Okay, I'm quickly going to switch over. Hang on. I'm going to switch to... I'm not going to switch to anything as far as you guys are concerned, but what I did switch to... Now I can see a combination of my screen rendered on the 4K, and on my 1440p I see OBS's recording of it, which effectively is just displaying the same image but in its own color gamut and in its own, dark and light levels. Again, comparing them side by side is really the primary reason I'm noticing this.
What the brake? Hit the brake! Stop, you asshole! The brakes are working again. You goddamn bastard should have shot you on the spot. Why didn't you? Order to take me alive? Fire! Shoot again! Let that visible target open and line the engine!
That was bad. I wanted to come back and take them out, but unfortunately, for some reason, Steam brought up its overlay in the middle of my gameplay, even though I haven't tied the Steam overlay to those particular keys. It's done that before, and I don't know why.
Stand up, Colonel Miran. Easy. We are slowing down.
You know what? I got lots of bullets. I don't need to recover a whole bunch of stuff. This is sort of a throwaway playthrough anyway, so I'm going to sneak through here. That was bad. Turns out a tin can is not a good thing to hide behind. Doesn't work. Alright, let's be a little smarter about this. Okay, quickly get back into here. Oh god, there was one in there that I didn't notice. Ah, alright. Alright, take you out. You're already down. Hop in here. Take out you. Take out you, take out you, take out you, take out all of you with a bunch of bullets. Okay. Alright, here we go. Hey, yeah, get out of here. Placing the bomb. Alright. Run, run, run. Run, run, run. Pull the bomb. Boom. Yeah, we're always hovering in the low 80s region. But never really peaking much higher than that. I'm wondering if it's because that's just where my monitor's been told to sync at.
Now we are not just traitors. We are honest-to-God enemy saboteurs.
We stopped 100 clicks from Moscow to check our Geiger counters. The thing is, they are all in the green, as if they're in a conspiracy. Still, this amazing piece of news doesn't really impress anyone that much. The guys are all confused as to what to do next. And I'm just waiting for answers. And hoping
Indeed.
Commander.
Sadly, I can't skip past this either. What I'm going to do is I'm going to record a little bit of the train trip once I get outside, just to capture what goes on as I pass by buildings and the like, and then I'm going to skip forward to when we arrive at the next chapter, and then I'm going to call it an evening because I will have captured all the footage I need. And the next spot that I have to do image capture is after I do a quick run through the scene with the cult. So, but that'll have to be saved for another night, possibly tomorrow night.
No! I only got briefed half year ago. Under its strict, you talk, you die policy. Then had to tell my people we were securing a weather station.
Sir, with all due respect, if we come to that, maybe we should dance and move on.
I have an idea, but Artyom, rather than carrying on with this silent disapproval, check the airwaves. We should be out of the jamming range by now, so give it your best try. And look for transmissions from the Ark. Do you understand now why
Yeah, that's fine. Let's go and take a look.
we shut down the jamming station, shot up the guns, destroyed and killed, and ran away from Moscow? Do you even need to try? The case is so clear. There's no way back. Which means we have to continue moving forward. The Moscow Defense Command. Have you ever heard? Wait a moment, what is that? Listen, everyone.
The 4K monitor has a sort of a warmer color palette. May not be able to get quite as dark, but it's could be the pixel density as well, but the colors are really quite lovely.
Is this what you had in mind?
Yes, this is it. The Ark project is a whole city underground. Enormous stores, machines, the best experts. It is the Commander General's HQ. All the country's leaders are there. They have already started the restoration work. We will tell them that Moscow is alive. It wasn't all for nothing. Everything will change. Everything. Do you get it? A new life is coming for all the survivors of the war.
Are there no single women in that place?
Great reaction. So I think the moment calls for it. Bring it out to me.
Bring what out, Colonel? Sir.
That thing that's been sloshing around in your canteen. You think I'm dead or what?
That. Just a moment. I thought my ears were deceiving me.
It's not a short trip to two of us, so we should make ourselves comfortable, I guess. Let's name this bucket of colds at the very least.
It's about time.
Let's go around and be done with you.
Nah, go to hell. Even better. Oh, come on.
Aurora, the roller goddess of dawn and a cruiser of, you know what?
That's better.
Not bad. I like it.
Beautiful name.
Sounds okay, but the cruiser of what? I'll tell you later.
Looks like it's decided. Let's drink to
Hey, Artyom, let's take a look at that map.
All right, we had a round. That should be enough. You're back. Full steam ahead.
Aye.
Full steam ahead.
Wow, that's some distance. I wonder how long it will take. How are you, Alyosha?
All right. So we're quickly going to just take a look around before I trigger the map. Because what I want to do is I want to check the... boy, that is pretty. a very sensible objection to make is if I'm only getting 60 frames a second anyway, which I'm not. I'm getting about 80 to 90. But why not get a monitor which is cheaper, 4K, and only does 60 hertz? Because I've clearly been gaming that way for a long time anyway. And that would be a very sensible question. Or stick with my 1440p. Like, the question is, how much do I want? Oh, that is lovely lighting. How much do I want the higher pixel density? What is it going to cost me? Now, one of the things that I will eventually be doing, I think, is when I can get my hands on a little bit of more cash, a little bit more leeway, what I may end up doing is I need to upgrade my motherboard and CPU anyway, and at some point I may also decide to get myself a second graphics card of the same kind and hook them together with SLI. Now that will definitely, at that point, give me more than enough horsepower. But I'm not going to do that soon because it was kind of expensive. And my reason for getting a second one with the motherboard would be, first of all, maybe PCI 4 by the time I'm ready to upgrade. Maybe it's still PCI 3, but I will need a new power supply, a new motherboard and CPU. So at that point, say that's next year, upgrading, like getting a second instance of the graphics card, that graphics card that I have right now should be fairly cheap to get. Yeah, relatively speaking anyway, way less than it cost me to get it the first time. At which point I will get probably not twice the horsepower, because doubling the cards, there's still a lot of communication between the cards. You don't quite get double, but I would get a decent boost. See, I'm getting 116, 117. So I'm probably rendering more frames than the monitor can actually suck up, because I think it's still locked to 87. Requested 87 hertz. .90 frames, 100 frames. This is roughly comparable to what I was getting when I did this on the 1440p and more specifically on the 4K rendered down to 1440p path. Usually looking behind me is where it dropped a bit, but the 4K monitor is warmer. Maybe I can forgive it the darker blacks. Plus, bigger screen, so I feel like I got quite a lovely window into my gaming space. Actually, at this point, the big thing is I need to test it against more games that'll kind of push the boundaries of the card. Anyway, I think that's as much as I'm going to do, because this goes on essentially forever. It's very lovely, but it goes on forever so that you can catch up with all of the lore that you learn in this.
After all those years in the underground, the air of the surface seemed incredibly fresh, intoxicating. It was not what had caused the crew's euphoria. Our journey finally got a definite purpose provided by the transmission from the government bunker in the Urals.
So,
For 20 years, we thought that neither
I'm going to get myself to the point where this chapter is essentially saved, and then I'm going to call it an evening on this.
Where were they while we were eating each other alive in the metro? We'll have a lot of questions for them once we reach Yamantau, if we reach it. The ruins of our country are under enemy control, according to Miller, and we'll have to fight through to our goal. A small team against the occupation armies? What are the chances that we'll succeed? That we'll get some answers?
think our chances of getting to Yamantau alive are? It's the only thing on my father's mind. How to earn his forgiveness, get back to Metro and his old life, the life you had always been running from. And to think, I never believed you. And now I'm looking at this fog, thinking it could actually be hiding our new life from us. By the way, we should be approaching the bridge soon. Damn it! A campfire! People! There are people there! Hit the brakes!
Shots fired. 4 bogies on a trolley.
Okay, so I screwed this up last time. I wanted to capture essentially this sunset, so I'm going to capture one here. I'd forgotten about this one, but I got to figure out how I'm going to aim it. So bottom left-hand corner. Nope, that's no good. What do I want to do? I'm tucked into the corner here. I'm going to make sure that of the 2 trees with the white tops, here and here, I'm going to point it with the tree in the bottom left corner, that white strip of, well, snow-covered strip of wood. That's really pretty. I'm going to capture this, and I'm going to have to go back and capture it in several other modes. I'm going to temporarily, before I leave this, switch my options, my game options, nope, back, my video down to 256 by, nope, 256 by 1440. That's the resolution of my other monitor. Yeah. Now this image, very lovely, and it didn't even upset my it didn't even upset my positioning. So that's the right way for me to do multi-resolution shots, is just to get all of them in a row just like that. All right. So that's where I'm going to call this stream, because the other shots that I want to get are on the other side of doing some questing. So this is where I'm effectively going to quit to the main menu. And I'm going to say to all of you, thank you so much for joining me in this stream. I will be picking this up tomorrow, and this will be really interesting once I figure out how I want to handle. Brain is not functioning. Doing the image comparisons. I also have some other pictures to snap that I have not yet captured. So, thank you so much for joining me. This has been Codeweaver Plays Games, and thank you. I'll see you in the next stream.